Hi guys, welcome to my vlog. My name is Kyla Mecha. I'm all about food, fun and travel, but today's video is going to be a bit different. So the 29th of October, I turned 1 year old in the UK, and I asked you guys to ask me questions in my Instagram, and you asked me quite a couple of questions. Actually, it's a lot. I'm not sure if I'm going to finish all this in one video, but I'm going to try my best and answer as many of them as possible. Then, depending on how far we go, I'll decide whether to do a second video, or we'll see. I might actually probably finish answering all of them today. Anyway, let's get straight to it because we have a long day to go. So, question number one, is it worth going to the UK? So, the person who asked me this question has previously asked me a question concerning something similar. So, I kind of know which perspective this person wants me to answer this question. And he was asking in regards to being mistreated and stuff like that, because there's assumptions that nurses, I don't know if it's in the UK or abroad, are not treated well. And the answer I gave this person is, it depends with where you work. It depends with where you work, and not even just like the trust you work in, but like even the departments. People treat you differently. But I told him it depends on your luck. I mean, some people could say it's really horrible, but you come here and it ends up being good for you. So I'm just going to speak from my experience, from what I've experienced. Anything I say here, I'm not holding anything against anyone or anything like that. I'm just saying what I went through. So for me, I can say it was not easy for me for the first few weeks in the previous department I was in. And not that people treated me badly. No, people were okay. But then I just didn't get along with everyone. And there are people who I felt were not being good to me. But, you know, it's not about who I was as a person or my background or being black or whatever. No, it was just who they are as a person, because I've ended up working with some of these people elsewhere, and other people are saying similar things about them. So it's not, they didn't treat me the way they did because of who I am, but it is just who that person is. That's how they are, and they treat everyone the same like that. So I can say it is worth coming to the UK. Totally worth it. Like, honestly, I wouldn't trade this for anything. I am happy and I'm glad I came here, and it is totally worth it coming. But in terms of being mistreated, so far I haven't seen anything like I'd tell someone, no, don't come here, you're gonna be mistreated. No, I haven't seen that, honestly. And even with my friends and people I interact with, people actually okay. I mean, everything is not 100%, but I haven't found anyone who's been mistreated in a way that they want to leave the trust, or they want to leave the hospital, or they want to change the jobs or anything. Generally, it's all right, it's okay, you'll make it. Whatever you face, it's whatever you'd face anywhere, really. And I mean, even back home, you don't get along with all your colleagues. Not everyone treats you well. People are all different, so it is not any different from Kenya, really, in terms of how you'll be treated. I haven't seen anything extreme so far, but if there's anyone who has experienced that, they can share the experience in the comments section. Then we can also learn from them. But so far, I haven't had anything like that, and it is worth coming to the UK. How is life in the UK? Life in the UK is a mixture of everything. It is fun. It is I can say it's a lot of work. We work a lot in the UK. Like, I'm always talking to my friends in different parts, and they're like, how come we haven't talked for a long time? And I was like, I've been busy with shifts here and there. So it is busy. It is a lovely country. The weather is I like my warmth. I like the sunshine and everything. So UK weather can get a bit chilly, so that is a challenge for me. But the people actually like the cold. It is easy to travel around the UK as well. UK has other countries like United Kingdom. There's England, there's Scotland, there's Northern Ireland, there's Wales. So it is easy to travel within these places without visas and all that. So it's easy to travel, and there's lots of things to see around here. So travel is perfect around here, and then it's easy to travel around Europe also from the UK. So generally, I enjoy life in the UK. It is awesome. I hope I'm not being big. I feel like I'm sounding big, but it is. I can just tell you, I'm living my life. I'm having the time of my life. Did you do IELTS? Yes, I did IELTS. So one of the requirements for me to come here, I had to do IELTS first, which I did twice. I failed the first time, and then I did it again. So I passed on my second time. So yes, I did do IELTS before coming, and I did specifically IELTS academic. And then I also had to do the CBT. CBT it's a computerized exam we do online, and then there's another part of that exam called OSCE that you come and do in the UK. But I had to do IELTS and CBT, and I had to pass those before coming. What are the essential things to pack as you move to the UK? This is someone who's clearly gonna travel somewhere soon. Congratulations to you. Anyway, so essentials of packing when moving to the UK. Number one, okay, I've actually done a video on my travel. I did a video when I came to the UK to tell people like things I packed that I think I don't need and stuff like that. Like I did not, it wasn't really a packing video, but there's a big aspect of packing in it. So I'll share it up here, and you can go and have a look. Specifically to this person, you can make sure to watch that video because it's really nice for anyone who's planning to travel anytime to another country. But essentials, number one, vegetables. I keep sending home for vegetables, but then it depends with where you live actually, because in the area I live, I can't really access vegetables like green vegetables, you know, the managus, the skuma wiki and stuff. There's spinach in the supermarkets, but really I just felt like I was, you know, like at home we used to eat greens every day, so I felt like I'm lacking so much in that. And all my friends who go to Kenya know I have to send them to bring me vegetables. Like right now I have managu in the house somewhere, so you carry your vegetables. But I was saying it depends with where you live, because I visited a friend who recently moved to the UK and they stay in Manchester in a town called Oldham. But when we went to that town, they actually have different traditional vegetables there. Like they had, was it nderema, or like we had different vegetables there. And I told them like, you're so lucky to live in such a place where you can access all this without stress. So it depends which part you go to. So do some research on where you're going and whether you'll get access to these things. But if you can't, you can bring dried vegetables from Kenya. What else to pack? You don't need to pack all your clothes, honestly. Just pack like a few pairs of jeans and, you know, just like a few things to just last you like a month, and that's about it. Yeah, you'll get to buy clothes over here. It's not really expensive as people say. It's not really expensive, honestly, to get clothes here, especially like during winter season, and then when there's usually different sales anyway. So we don't need to pack everything. What else would I pack? Spices. But then there's some African shops, they're usually more of Indian, that you might find in some towns like Manchester. There's one big one. Where I stay, there's none, but there's one that is close by, like 45 minutes drive or 30 to 45 minutes drive to that. So in such places, they're usually big shops that sell Indian stuff, Nigerian things. You'll get some African stuff. That's where I buy my ugali flour from. So I said flour, whatever, flour, vile nataka kusema ninasema. And then I've seen my friends send for Kenyan tea, like the tea bags and stuff. I've seen my friends send for that. Majani chai, like we have some here, but it's si kama ile ya nyumbani, you know, it's all the same. So you can pack some tea bags for yourself. Carry your ugali flour, of course, for the first few weeks, like until you settle. You can carry some, let's say, green grams, lentils, beans, just like a 1 kg pack, something to last you within your first 2 weeks before you figure out where these main or big shops are. Things like your body oil and stuff, it depends with what kind of skin you have. If you know you can't change your body oil, your face oil or whatever, just come with a big stock, because some of the products you use back home are not here. Like what I was using back home in Kenya is not here, and I've had to like find something else to use. You can always find something that will work for you, but if you know you have like sensitive skin and the specific things you need to use, just pack those, just bring them with you. People bring knives. Yes, knives. In the UK, like owning a knife is a big thing, like because there's a lot of knife crimes and stuff. So a knife is something they don't just sell to anyone in the supermarket. Like you have to be of age and stuff like that. So one of my friends packed his knife, so you can pack a knife. It is not going to be taken as a weapon. Actually, I don't know how he passed with it through the airport, because he was asking me if he should come with it, and I was like, I am not sure. It could be a weapon, but apparently alifika ako nayo, so clearly it's not a weapon. You can come with one. But yeah, I feel like you can get most things here really. If it's rice, you get most of the things here. So don't pack up too much, honestly, because you just have stuff lying around and you're like, why did I bring these things? Can you assist getting information on undergraduate program, automotive engineering on scholarship basis? So this one is a bit more specific. I'll need to get back to this person directly on their DM concerning the automotive engineering part. But what I can advise you, when you just Google online, honestly, these things are there. Just search like universities in the UK, and then it will give you like you can actually specify what you're looking for. Make sure you add international like students, and you will get like they will give you universities, then you can browse through each of them until you find the course you want. Like these things are actually accessible online. We don't trust Google and stuff, but it does help a lot, because even me, when someone asks me about things that are not within the nursing, because I know more things about nursing because that's where I am, I usually just go on Google honestly and do a bit of a research, and the answer is right there. So if you can try, just Google the international universities in the UK offering international studies, you will get a couple of universities. Then when you get there, you can type in your exact course that you want, and it will bring you if the university has that. And then you can now go and search for scholarships, and they usually have contact numbers for the universities there, so you can actually ring them and find out about that. If you do the research online, identify a university, and maybe your only challenge is calling them to find out about what's happening, because of course it's gonna be expensive for you to call a UK number and vice versa. I can do the calling for you. Have you had fun while you're there? Yes, I have had fun. Excuse me, my vlog is all about food, fun, and travel. Lately, I've actually been lazy. I haven't been shooting like sharing most of the. I'm taking videos when I go out, but then I come home and I'm just lazy to post them and stuff like that, or send to my brother does my editing, so just get lazy to send and stuff. But I've done a couple of fun things. Actually, like I told you before, UK has different countries. So I've been to Northern Ireland twice here. I think I've been there twice. Yes, I've been to Northern Ireland twice. I've gone to which other town is there? I've gone to Wales, and the England itself. I've toured different places. I've gone to London. I've gone to Manchester, to Liverpool, the major towns. And then I'm yet to go to Scotland. Like, I've had fun in terms of travel. Yes, I have gone out partying with my friends and work colleagues. I have tried different restaurants. Like, honestly, I've had fun. I have had fun. I'd like to learn a few adapting tricks. How do I manage the costs? Yes, lots of bills. Like, you'll pay for your rent, you'll pay for council tax, you'll pay for your phone bill. Your phone is also another bill. You'll pay for Wi-Fi. You'll pay basically for everything. There's car insurance if you're driving. There's road tax. There's water and gas and electricity. There's water. There's a lot of things to pay for, which is pretty much the same as what we pay at home. For me personally, I can say in the UK, like, whatever job you have, it is easy to survive here with one job, honestly. Like, one job, you can live comfortably with one job. You know, like, you can go out, have fun. You can live comfortably, save a little bit with one job, yeah? But then, like myself, I know Africans, we like investing back home, supporting our parents and things like that. If you want to do that, then you might need a second job, or just somewhere you can get extra money from, because your main salary you might not be able to do lots of big things with just your main salary. You might need an extra job, and that is why you find people saying they're busy here and there doing shifts. It's because they're trying to do the extra job so that they can get extra money to do like bigger things, probably at home or even just here in the UK. I usually have a monthly budget. Every time, whenever my pay slip comes in, I see how much I'm earning that month, and then I make a budget, and I start with all the basics up there, like rent, council tax, water, gas and electricity. I start with the main things, then find out what else is important that requires my attention this month, and allocate a certain amount of money to it, and then whatever remains is where now I can put it aside for savings or for whatever other reason. So it's good to have a budget. We have some online banks, like there's Moniz, there's Monzo, and it's different from the generic banks like Barclays and Lloyds and all the other ones. And they give you different pots where if you're actually saving, you can create a specific pot for what you're saving for. If it's travel, you can write that's a saving pot for travel. If it's for emergencies and all that. So I usually have those pots on my digital bank account, and then whenever I have extra money, I can decide to portion this amount to travel, or this amount to emergency savings, or this amount to probably school fees or something like that, you know. So having the saving pots helps me as well. How easy or hard is it to work in their hospitals compared to Kenya, getting a license? Number one, in Kenya, you have to finish your school degree, of course, and then if there's internship, you have to do that, do an exam, then get licensed. So when you come to the UK, it depends with what you've studied. Like this person, I think, has done pharmacy, and for me, it is nursing. Getting licensed here was not really hard because I had done IELTS and CBT in Kenya. All I had to come and do here was an exam called OSCE, and as soon as you pass your OSCE, you get licensed. Like there's some payments you make and all that. But then it is easy to get licensed once you have passed your OSCE. All you need to do is to pass your OSCE, and then they will do the different checks, and if you're okay, they're happy with you, you get your license. It's not hard to get licensed. So it depends with the course you're doing. For example, if you're a medical student, I'm sure there's probably exams you need to do, then get your license, but it's not really hard. It's quite straightforward to get licensed. The shifts here, it depends on the department you're working. For example, if you're working in the wards, there are 12-hour shifts. So let's say your shift will start at 7 o'clock in the morning and it will finish at 7 or half 7 in the night. So that's a 12-hour. But then usually most of the places you need to work for 37.5 hours per week. That's what is in my contract. And it is in most people's contracts. 37.5 hours a week is your requirement. So if you're working in a department that has 12-hour shifts, then you just work for 3 days. But then there are departments where you work for just 10 hours, and that means you'll have to work for like 4 days so that you meet your 37.5 hours per week. And then we also have some hospitals have something called flexible working, whereby you can say I can only come in the afternoon once a week. I mean, it depends if you're permanent or permanent staff or you're part-time. But then there's some like flexible hours you can discuss with them and say I have childcare this hour, so I can only work from this time to that time. And you just discuss with your manager and they may be able to grant you that depending on the staffing and all that. So the shifts are quite different depending on where you're working. There's some departments where you work Monday to Friday, 8 to 5, just like in Kenya. So it's quite different. But yeah, the 12-hour shift was quite a shock for me because the day seemed so long. But then when I started doing them, I was like, you're actually so busy, you don't realize how fast the time goes by. So yeah, different shifts depending on the department you're working, but most of the time it's 37.5 hours per week, so it depends on how many hours you're working in a day. That will detect how many days you work. Difference in medication policies and stuff. So medication, there's some medication that is quite common in Kenya and in the UK, like paracetamol, always be paracetamol, brufen, but then there are some conditions that are more prevalent here compared to Kenya. And then therefore you'll find like there's different medication there, like there's more dementia patients here, or patients with like Parkinson's. There's different types of conditions in the UK compared to Kenya. So then the medication changes with regard to the treatment of such conditions. So the medications you've never heard of in Kenya but you'll come to learn about here. And then there's also some we have in Kenya that's not here. And then there's like antibiotics are pretty much the same. Yeah, it's just like the trade name will only change. But then scientific name is still the same. So there's a lot of similarities, but as well there's differences because we have different conditions in the two countries. So medication definitely changing. Policies, I feel like the UK is more strict to their policies, and the patient has more say here and stuff like that compared to Kenya. So when you come here, you need to know your different policies for different things and make sure you adhere to those so that you don't end up losing your license. So it is quite important. Like there's lots of policies here which are quite different from Kenya, and I feel like people adhere to them more here than back home. So just to make sure when you come here, just to make sure you find out what is happening around, what policies they have. Make sure you know all your policies so that whatever you do, you can always back up whatever you're doing and support it and say this is what it says and stuff like that, so that you don't lose your license. It's quite easy to lose your license here. Is it worth coming to the UK? I think we repeated this question, or I should just wait and process to go to the US. So my friends, I came to the UK because it was easier to come here. Like the US process, it's pretty much the same thing. Do your English and then do your NCLEX. But then when I was planning my journey and stuff like that, the US seemed a bit not far-fetched, but the process seemed longer because there have been lots of people waiting to go, and like there's usually like a time frame of about a year for the US process to go through. I think now it's moving a bit faster, but by the time I was going, there was like a backlog of almost a year. But then with the UK, I think my process, when I got serious with it, took about 3 months. So if you're looking at it in terms of how quick which process would be faster, I feel like the UK would be faster. Though recently I've been hearing like there's delays with visas over here as well. There's backlogs also as well and stuff. But then I feel like the UK is faster than the US. But then times are changing and things are changing, so you never know. And also, I was saying I came here because it was faster. Honestly, I wanted to go to the US initially or Australia, but then the UK came into the picture, and I realized it's quite easier to get here. So I started with my UK process, and I was here quicker. And I was like, probably I'll stay in the UK for a bit. Me and my friends actually were like, probably we'll go to the UK because it's easier to get there, then stay for a few years, then go to the US. But then I'm here now, and I'm like, do I still want to go to the US? So honestly, this question, should I just wait and process to go to the US? Honestly, I just tell you, do what you feel like. But if it depends what you're looking for. If you want something that will be quicker, probably the UK would be your quicker process. Then get here, get into the system, find out. You might actually like the UK and want to stay. Like me and my friends are like, are you sure you're still going to the US? We don't know. We're probably gonna stay here. So but then there are people here as well who are doing their NCLEX and they're planning to go to the US. So if I were you, I'd do the one that will get me to what I'm looking for faster. And then once I'm there, decide whether I want to stay there or start the US process or continue the US process as I'm in the UK. No harm with that. I feel personally that's what I do. That's what I did. But now I'm here. I'm not sure if I want to move anymore or not. What is the pay in a month? The pay depends on what job you're doing. We usually paid per hour, so different roles. For example, you could be a nurse, but you're a band 5 or a band 6. The rate changes per hour depending on your department, not your department really, but your band, pay band, or what you're doing. Are you a nurse? Are you a doctor? Are you a driver? Are you a chef? Different things. So it depends on your work and then what they pay per hour. So I can't really say how much what is the pay in a month. I can't really say. And then at times the pay depends on like night shifts, because in the UK they pay you extra for a night shift. If you work a night shift, you'll get a different pay compared to working a day shift. You'll get a different pay rate for working over the weekend. You'll get a different pay rate for working on bank holidays. So it varies really. There's not like a standard amount, but yeah, basically from £10 to around £40 an hour. It just depends on what you are doing and stuff like that. And then also how many hours you're working, because you could be earning £40 an hour, but then you're only working for 2 hours. Well, someone else is earning £13 per hour, but they're working for 12 hours. So it definitely depends. But what I can say is what I feel like what is happening around here is that whatever job you have, you can survive comfortably with one job. But then if you want to do extra things like develop at home and stuff like that, then you need to get a second job. How much can one save in a month? Depends on your budget again. How much you're paying for rent, how much your council tax is. Honestly, in terms of finances, I can say it just depends with you as a person, what you're doing, what you're spending on. How did your social life change once you got there? And the friends you used to have, are they still there? Honestly, my social life changed significantly. Like I'm one person who used to have lots of friends in Kenya, like many friends. But then when I came here, it's totally different. Like I feel like it's difficult to make new friends when you're an adult, and not just new friends, but like meaningful friends. I mean, I have friends in the UK, but then I can't say I have like a best friend or like an intimate kind of friendship at the moment. Compared to the friends I had in Kenya, I feel like I don't have such friends here yet. I have friends, but we're not at that level yet. We just still, yeah, like it's not easy to make a whole lot of new friends in a new country. You may meet people, but it's just not the same. I don't know if you get it, but it's not the same. I honestly miss my Kenyan friends. I miss you all. So yeah, it is not easy to make friends here. And then because you're like in between work and the house. It's not like back home I can shout to my neighbor over the fence or just go around and tell someone, let's meet in town for lunch. Like we can meet up with people here, but we're actually generally busy. And other than being busy, where do you make friends from? Probably work. Let me tell you the places. I mean, I can make friends from work, from church, and that's about it. Because that's all I do: go to work, go to church, and then if I'm traveling, I'm going to a specific place, I'll probably meet someone, we'll know each other, exchange contacts probably, but that's it. Like, there's not much in common and all that, but probably that will change the next year, I don't know. But I won't lie to you, I can't say I have the exact friends I had back in Kenya, no. Then the friends used to have still there, yes. I'm really happy that my friends have been with me, because there's even times I think like I was not communicating more often, or someone texts me today and it'd take a while to respond and stuff like that, adjusting. But my friends have been really there for me, they've been supportive, and we actually understand, you know, it's not even about me coming here, but even my friends back home are also adults, they're also working now or doing different things, so they're also busy. So these days it's quite different. Like, we don't get to talk often, but the good thing is that whenever we get to talk, it's like a whole hour, a whole 2 hours, and we'll talk and catch up, and it's as if I never left. It's the same, like, we have the same vibe, we still love each other the same way, like there's still a vibe. So I'm really grateful for my friends that despite the distance and everything going on, we still get to talk and we are happy, and no one is holding grudges on anyone. So I still have my friends, and I'm very grateful for that. And I'm happy that we're now in a place where we both are busy, but we do create time every so often to speak, and whenever we catch up, it's just the same. We haven't lost touch, and I'm happy I haven't lost you guys. Did you get a scholarship? How did you go? Give tips. So I came here as a nurse. I'd already qualified as a nurse in Kenya, and then there were agencies at that time that were bringing nurses to the UK straight to work. So I was privileged to come that way. So I didn't get a scholarship because I'm not studying really. I'm here for work. Probably I might decide to do my master's at some point, but I haven't started that yet, so I'm not on any scholarship. I just came straight for work. Tips. I'm this person. I feel like I'd want to know which field you're in, what you studied and stuff like that. Then it'll be easier to give you tips. So if you're listening to this, just DM me and tell me what you did back in school. Then I can tell you what I think about or what I've had in relation to your career in the UK. Yeah, but generally I came through those agencies. Now I think the Kenyan government is doing more of the recruiting nurses to the UK. But then, yeah, if you're doing any other thing, healthcare, different, actually the healthcare field, there's lots of jobs, there's a lot of vacancies here in the UK. Honestly, there's like a huge shortage of staff. So I feel like if you're in the healthcare field, you can get a job here quite easy. The problem is finding the agency to help you out. But download apps like Indeed, download apps like Glassdoor, and I've seen something called Reels, REELS. Those ones advertise jobs in the UK. You can write what you're looking for. Like, for example, the person who said automotive engineering, you can type that. Then you look for international. They'll actually advertise jobs there, so you can read through, see if they're sponsoring visas, because if they are, they will mention in the job description there. So get into these apps and actually look for exactly what you want, and you possibly find it there in the app. So yeah, please do that. In Kenya, we have different agencies also which help you with admission for schools if you want to come here for school. Yeah, we have, like, is it called UniServe? We have UniServe. Oh God, why am I forgetting all these names? We have things like UniServe that you can use to apply for schools, and there are different agencies. Actually, there's most of them in Westlands that you can apply to, and then they help you with the admission process for studies here and getting scholarships and stuff. So definitely look into that. I think I should actually write some of these things in my description to make it easier for you. I will. How is nursing in general? And do you work in specific departments? Nursing is, honestly, I can say it is nice working as a nurse here. The pay is actually really good. It has its challenges, but honestly, I feel like challenges will always be there anywhere you go, not just in the UK. Do you work in specific departments? It depends with your experience back in Kenya. When I came here, I hadn't worked so much in Kenya as such. So I can't say I had experience in a specific department. So I went straight to the wards. But then while you're in a specific trust, keep looking out for the different job advertisements they do. Because now I work in theaters, and I don't have previous experience in theaters. But when I saw the job advertisement, they were not looking for any experience. So you just come in with whatever is being advertised, and then once you're here, if there's a specific department you work in, it'll be easier for you to transition once you're already here. It might be hard for you to get a job in the specific department you have, especially if you don't have experience in it from outside. So just get here, then once you're there, it's easy to transition to other departments. Do you get homesick? Yes, I get homesick. I miss my family, I miss my friends, I miss my country, I just miss everything about home. But the good thing is, I feel like I'm lucky that these days we have technology where you can video call, you can video chat and everything. I mean, you can video call, you can chat with your friends anytime. So it makes it a bit easier for me. Especially the time we have like the long conversations and we get to catch up. It helps me feel a bit more into it and helps me feel like at least I know what's going on. So I do miss home and I'm planning to go home soon. But until then, yeah, I'll keep holding on. Keep being strong. But yes, I do get homesick, and that's the time you'll find me calling home a lot and stuff like that, or calling my friends and messaging and trying to find out how they're doing and all. But I love it in the UK as well. I can't complain. I don't regret coming here. Looking forward to seeing this video. Oh, thank you. How's the cost of living there? Living in the UK is a bit expensive, but like I've said in my previous videos, as much as it's expensive, you can survive with one job. But then if you want to do more of investments and you have like bigger dreams and stuff, you might need to do some extra work. What was your biggest culture shock in the past 1 year? Number one, the weather. I came in October, and it was when winter was coming in, and we had the long nights thing where it starts getting dark at like 3 a.m. So I've told a couple of my friends this story. Like, we went to, a friend of mine and we went out for shopping into a supermarket at around, I think it was around 3, 2 in the afternoon, 3. And we went around the mall, window shopping, and then we came out and it was so dark. And I was like, how long have we been window shopping? I mean, it hasn't been hours. How come it's already dark? Because in my mind, I thought it's like 7 o'clock already or 8. I'm like, we haven't been in there that long. Only to check my time, and it was 5 o'clock. I'm like, what? It's 5 o'clock and it looks this dark? Like, that was a shocker for me, honestly. And the same thing happened when we were getting the long days, when it was like 10 o'clock at night and it is as bright as this. And I'd call home and they're like, how come it's so bright in your house and it's 10 in the night? I'm like, and I'd take them to the window and show them, and they'd be shocked as well. Because honestly, if you haven't seen this before, it's quite shocking. It is shocking. Anyway, yeah, so the weather. And then it was also really cold. I was freezing. I didn't want to go out and all that. But then the weather, and then the other culture shock. I remember when Wahura was saying how like English people are quite loud, like they speak really loudly, and I didn't know I'm not loud until I came here, because I thought, in Kenya, like what is common with you is common, like you're not thinking like someone is shouting or anything. But when I came here, I'd speak to people and they're like, speak louder please, like, and then I feel like they're shouting. Even when you want to tell someone a secret or it's like a private conversation, someone speaks loudly, you're like, shh, it's supposed to be private. So even at work, when I'm trying to have a conversation with someone that I don't want everyone to hear, I just rather not have that conversation, because for them it's their normal voice, but then for me it feels like they're shouting and everyone's gonna hear what I'm saying and it's private, so I'd rather either take you out of the room or don't speak about it until later, because everyone will be hearing what they're saying. And even there are times you've done something wrong and someone wants to correct you, but then they're speaking so loudly, like everyone's gonna hear that I've spilled water or that I've done this or that. Like, speak slowly. Like, there's no whispering here. So every time people keep telling me like, speak louder, I'm like, this is the loudest I can speak. Like, do you want me to shout now? Like, So I don't know if I'm shouting these days, but people still say I'm not loud enough. But then I feel like when I get back home, people will be telling me now I'm shouting, because I've gotten used to this now. Then how at home, like we speak about God more often and stuff like that. I came here, and generally, a friend of mine told me that England is a Christian country, yes, but then not everyone believes in God and stuff like that. And you don't want to be charged for imposing your religion on people and stuff. So I realized, like, how at home, within every conversation, your friend will be like, oh my God, oh thank God this happened. Or I came here and I felt like a whole day had gone by and haven't mentioned God in any statement. I'm like, what is happening here? Like, Kyla, something's going on. Like, that was a bit of a shock for me. Is your stay there self-sponsored? Yes, it is, because I came to work. Of course, I'm on a tier 2 visa, and we got sponsored like on in terms of like accommodation. My employer paid for accommodation for the past 3 months, paid for transport to the training center for the first 3 months, but now I have to cater for everything, like my cost, my living, and all. And now I'm a real adult. I am doing adulting. It's not easy. It's not easy, but I'm doing adulting by myself. Is it too expensive to live and study in the UK? It is expensive, my friend. It is expensive to live and study because you've added the study part. Like school fees here is not cheap. It is not cheap. We're speaking millions. But then it depends where you're coming from. I mean, if you come from a rich family, then probably it's nothing. But then if you come from a like a middle class family, it is gonna be expensive. And considering also studying, you're gonna be limited. Like I think your student is allowed only like 20 hours. I'm not sure how many hours they're allowed to have in a week, but it is expensive, honestly. And you need to do your research well before planning to come and study as well as work while you're here. If you come on a student visa, there's only enough hours you need to work, so it is gonna be expensive. And then even if you're like me who's working and you want to go into school, at times you're lucky your employer might sponsor some of your education needs, but then at times there's something like if I want to do a master's, I'll probably have to pay for myself. I know it's not going to be easy. I've seen videos of people who are working and studying and they're saying it is not easy, but there are people who've done it. So I'm not saying you can't do it. You can do it. You just need to figure out how things are gonna work, where you're gonna tighten your budget and stuff like that. So it is workable. It is expensive, but I feel like you can make it because there are people who've made it. I actually feel like I have a friend. How many friends? I think I have a friend who's, I think one, I can't think of anyone else, who's been studying and working in the UK. I'll ask them if they're happy to be a guest in my channel, then they can tell you about their experience of working and studying in the UK. How was the visa process? Did you have anyone on ground in the UK helping you with your admission and all that? So like I said, I wasn't coming for school. I came for work. So my agency did most of the work for me because they were the intermediary between my employer and me. So they did most of the work, most of the paperwork, they did it. But then they would send me to do things for myself, like going to the Nursing Council of Kenya. For the visa, I didn't have to do an interview, but I had to go to the center physically for my biometrics to be done. My certificate of sponsorship from my employer did the speaking for me. So I just went to do my biometrics really, and I'm so privileged. Thank God I got my visa within 5 days. I didn't pay for there's the speedy one you can pay to get it sooner, priority service. I didn't pay for that, but I got mine within 5 days, and I'm very grateful to God for that. And yeah, so my agency did pretty much of it, but I think the UK visa is not usually. Previously, it hasn't been hard to acquire it. Probably now things are changing, but previously it hasn't been hard. It is that currently here there's some delays, but it was not hard for me. And like, if did you have anyone on the ground? I think I can say my agency was they were the ones on the ground for me. I think they actually lived in the. I think my agency had their offices in the UK, yeah. But they did most of the application for me. And then if your employer is sponsoring you, then things are faster. And yeah, it is easier that way. But if you're self-sponsoring, then it might take a bit longer. But yeah, it wasn't really difficult. How would you rate your whole process? Is it hard, easy, and is it affordable or quite costly? For me, honestly, it was easy and fast because again of the support I was getting from my agency. So I feel like if you have someone, things are smoother and they take off more of the stress from you. So you probably have to think about just the finances rather than having to think about how to apply, getting papers ready. You don't know what you need, and then you have to figure out the finances by yourself. I feel like as much as these agencies charge and they might be expensive, it's quite nicer to use them. I mean, easier to use them because then they know everything and they guide you through the whole process. So I feel like it is nice to have someone to guide you. As much as it may cost you, it will take off more stress from you. And then I think I can say it was affordable for me, but probably it's because I had known what I wanted. So I started saving quite early. So by that time, whenever they were asking me for any amount of money, I had it already saved away. So it was easier to access that and just pay. But then the good thing is you can also pay, I think, in stages, depending on your field. I think you can pay in stages as well, so that can make it more affordable for you, other than having to pay the whole amount. I think I spent about 200,000 Kenyan shillings maximum for my whole process. But that is easy, especially for nurses, and achievable for nurses or people who are coming in line with the healthcare field. I'm not sure about other fields, but that is about roughly what I spend, or probably less. And then if you keep paying it in installments, then it is more affordable comparing to you having to raise 200,000 at a go. That's going to be a lot of money. But then if you're doing it slowly, then it would be affordable. It wasn't costly. But if you're coming for school, it will definitely be costly, because school fees alone is in the millions direction, and then now you have to add accommodation and all those other aspects. What are the challenges you faced so far in the UK? And lastly, will you recommend? I would 100% recommend. The pay is good. At work you might have a challenge adjusting initially, but once you adjust and get the flow of it, and understand what is happening around you, you'll be good to go. The challenges I have faced so far, that's quite a nice question, because it makes me like look back and think. And yeah, my social life, like I don't have many. You can actually get depressed in the UK if you're not an outgoing person and you don't intentionally go out there to make friends. So I'm happy, like I have some of my friends who've come from Kenya here. I've made a bit of friends here. But then if you're not that kind of person who's quick to make friends, then you might struggle a bit. That can be one of the challenges you might face. Then having to pay all these different kinds of bills, it's like, oh my god, it's a lot. So you need to figure out how to sort yourself out quickly. And then driving, like I feel like I need, if you're working here and you want to do extra jobs somewhere else, it is nice to do that if you're driving. It makes things easy. That's been quite a challenge for me, because then you have to adjust your hours, like wake up really early, come back home late and stuff like that if you're not driving. And driving itself is also quite expensive, not in terms of acquiring the car and that, but then in terms of driving schools, they're quite expensive here and stuff like that. The cost of living is going high. I think there's more challenges, but because of time, I'm gonna have to stop there. Forgive me. I feel like I've taken quite so much time already. But thank you so much for listening to me. If there's anything you feel like I've missed out on, feel free to ask more questions on the comment section. And also, you can still engage me in my DM. Feel free to share my video with your friends if you think like it's gonna benefit them. And until next time, it's been real. I'm gonna go to work now. Time.